Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Daybreak. I'm Juliana Brock.
And I'm Colleen Winder. In today's episode, we'll be giving you the scoop on the latest news, both on Point Park's campus and the greater Pittsburgh area. But not just any news. We'll be concentrating on mental health.
The first week of November is known as International Stress Awareness Week, and with the semester's end creeping up toward us, we're definitely feeling aware.
So, we hope that the mental health news we give you this week can help ease some of those not so great feelings, as well as inform you of the exciting mental health developments happening in our area.
All this and more coming up, so wake up and smell the coffee, Pittsburgh. Daybreak starts right now.
Welcome back. To kick off this episode, we'll talk a little bit about what's going on here at Point Park's campus.
From an interesting report by the student government to a healing event by a campus organization, we have all the scoop on all you need to know.
But let's not delay. Take it away, Jules.
One of the greatest remedies to feeling down is finding a form of self-expression. That's why we're happy to announce that Ghostlight Theater Company here at Point Park has opened submissions for their spring 2024 season. Whether it's a play, a musical, a staged reading, or a solo piece, this is your time to pitch your big creation. This work has the potential to be performed at one of the many main stages in Point Park's Playhouse and could be seen by dozens of your peers. If you have an exciting idea brewing, make sure to hone in on it soon. Any and all questions can be directed toward Artistic Director Madison Downing or Managing Director Riley Bite. Submissions close on November 13th, so get to it.
The Point Park University Counseling Center will be hosting an information and mindfulness with PAAR coping skills. The event will have non-disclosure healing spaces in which students can have conversations on how to manage stress and emotions while navigating self-esteem and relationships. The event will open to all students on Tuesday, November 7th from 2 to 4 p.m. in the University Counseling Center on the 5th floor of Lawrence Hall. This will also be followed by open office hours from 12 to 3 p.m. on November 10th and 17th. Make sure to look after yourself and find community with the University Counseling Center.
Last month, the Student Government Association requested students to fill out a survey related to our campus Wi-Fi. In this survey, a simple question was asked: have you experienced any issues with campus Wi-Fi? Well, the results are in, and a whopping 96% of students said that yes, they have had issues. There were issues reported in nearly all areas on campus to some degree, but the two largest problem areas were Boulevard Apartments and Lawrence Hall. This is discouraging as these two buildings house many of Point Park's on-campus students. Only time will tell what changes will be made, but SGA President Mark Palumbo reports that the organization is working closely with the IT department to help aid this problem. I live in Lawrence Hall, and I can definitely vouch for the fact that the Wi-Fi has its issues.
How do you feel about that? How do the students feel about that?
Well, my residents come to me a lot about it, and I'm just like, that's where a hotspot comes in handy. I never had to use a hotspot until I really came to school here, which my family's fortunate enough we do have unlimited data, but that's like a pain in the butt for anybody that doesn't. It's all a pain because, I mean, Pioneer Net chooses to work sometimes, chooses not to other times. It's a pain, and I feel like there's not even that many places around that the Wi-Fi needs to
really
reach.
Doesn't. Like, even in Conestoga where I live, it cuts in and out. I have to use my Wi-Fi. I'm in the same situation as you.
Right,
like,
right.
Come on.
Yeah, it's kind of a pain, but at this point, I'm just kind of used to it, so it is what
I'm glad
is.
SJ is working with the IT department.
Right, and I can appreciate that. Get it fixed, because then everything will go smoother, and then everybody can get their assignments done on time.
Yep.
I mean, usually that's not the reason people aren't doing their assignments on time, but it could be.
It's the reason I choose.
Right. It's the reassurance, no, it's the reassurance.
On another note, going back to PAR and the Counseling Center, I'm really glad they have these events. I actually thought about going to some.
Right, I like the events they're coming up with, and I know the people at the Counseling Center are very kind. I've heard great things from them, so they're a great resource to have.
Especially.
Right, I like knowing that the students can fall back on it.
Exactly.
Right.
I know like registration for actual therapy sessions with the Counseling Center can get a little backed up sometimes, so I'm glad they're having these like group discussions. I mean, as someone who used to go to therapy, but I'm currently not in therapy anymore.
Right.
It's nice to have that community to talk to, like a group of people that I can't, well, you can obviously talk to your friends and family. It's nice to have people that are going through the same things along with professionals. And it's only in Lawrence.
Right. Yeah. It's convenient that it's there at least. It's nice to fall back on. I feel comfortable sending my residents there if they need something. So it's like, okay, we got you.
Completely. Protect your mental health, and it's right there at our door.
Right. Absolutely.
After the break, we'll have more exciting stories to share about this latest news in the Pittsburgh area.
From a nearly national lawsuit to a brand new Pittsburgh office, you won't want to miss it.
Daybreak will be right back.
Hey.
Good evening and welcome to Newsnight. My name is Craig Furkowski.
Tonight, we'll cover all your international, national, and local news.
Australia is one of the most biodiverse countries on the planet.
Over 8,000 items are to be auctioned off at Pittsburgh International Airport on October 22nd.
Last Thursday, the House committee investigating the January 6th attack chose to subpoena former President Donald Trump. All this and more coming up on Newsnight.
Welcome back to Daybreak.
Let's dive right into your latest Pittsburgh news.
On November 2nd, a Black therapy event was held by the Artist Talk Mental Health Organization in collaboration with Still Smiling and The Future is Black. The event was hosted by mental health advocate Sydney Davis, and a multitude of speakers talked about the benefits of therapy, different therapeutic techniques, and information on how to find BIPOC therapists within the area. The panelists included professionals like Dr. Ruben Brock, Dr. Charlotte Timbo, Sonia Dougal, and Mari Tate. Davis expressed the importance of having these spaces, saying, quote, "Finding a Black therapist in the city can be incredibly challenging, to the extent that some people believe they don't even exist. So featuring other Black artists and members of the community alongside BIPOC therapists is incredibly important," end quote.
Pennsylvania has joined 41 other U.S. states in suing Meta Platforms Incorporated. The issue on the table? Intentionally collecting the data of children under the age of 13 without consent from parents and guardians. PA Attorney General Michelle Henry said, quote, "The time has come for social media giants to stop trading in our children's mental health for big profits." According to the Pew Research Center, 95% of youth ages 13 to 17 admit to using social media, and a third of these report using it nearly constantly. This broad lawsuit will certainly take time to make its way through the United States legal system, and only time will tell what the consequences of such a hot debate will entail.
In the last 3 weeks, a co-response program associated with the Pittsburgh Office of Community Health have, quote, helped to prevent 3 people from committing suicide, reversed 2 overdoses, reunified 2 homeless people with their families, end quote. This new team, introduced in April 2023, is an alternate opinion to crisis in which police can contact social workers to respond to distress calls and provide follow-up care to residents. This is not the only new venture to alternative mental health-related incidences, as the Trauma Survivals Assistant Program and the Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion Initiative was implemented this summer. This makes its way into Pittsburgh initiative to alternate emergency contacts that will provide help to police forces, nonviolent offenders, and people in crisis. I think what Pittsburgh is doing, it's really stepping up its community value in mental health.
Right.
I mean, starting with public safety in the Office of Health.
Right.
Doing these initiatives and doing these new programs to help non-violent offenders get the mental health and I guess drug abuse help that they do need. It's a big step in changing our criminal justice system and uplifting those who need the help it's most without hurting the citizens involved.
And I think it's definitely a step in the right direction. It'll be a good way to start turning things around, because no matter what, everybody has something going on behind closed doors, and I think it's great that we all acknowledge that and just try to get the help we need, because the hardest part is reaching out for help, and once you get it, you're not set from there, but you're on the right track. So
we're on the right track to decriminalizing mental health situations. And these people in crisis, they need the right help, and just putting them in jail is only going to create more problems.
It makes them feel alone. I saw a study, and it was like people that feel alone are more prone to doing things, so you gotta make them feel seen. And you know, like, I'm not an expert, but I definitely feel like recognizing something and making people feel seen and not alone helps.
Exactly, and that's why I also like what Sydney Davis is doing, the advocate for Black mental health. It's very important, like the quote that she did say about Black therapists, like as a Black person that looks for Black therapists, especially in Pittsburgh, you do believe that there are none, or that there aren't a lot of sources to go to. Who wants to put in all that work to find a therapist? Well, having these community events where they uplift other Black professionals in mental health, like, it's a great thing to do, and it's a great thing for people to see. Like, now I know about people that I can go to, or I can reach out to for these other sources. Like, it's a great thing for African American or BIPOC people.
And that's scary, because I couldn't imagine not feeling like you couldn't find something for you. That's a very feel like you're spiraling type of feeling. So they're doing a great deal of help for everybody. Yeah, it'll be great.
After the break, we'll hand things over to reporters Samuel Parator and Jake Bell for this week's Sideline Slice.
Plus, stay tuned for a special surprise segment where we'll test your knowledge about all things mental health. Daybreak will be right back.
Welcome back to Daybreak. My name is Samuel Parator, this is Jake Bell, and we are back for another edition of the ever-evolving Sideline Slice. Today we are back with a couple more of our bold discussion topics to chat about. Our topics today fall in the world of hockey, and the first one being one of the big current storylines. Last week, Adam Johnson unfortunately passed away after a freak accident on the ice during a game in England where the former Pittsburgh Penguin was playing. This incident has raised the question about neck guards in hockey and whether they should be mandated. Lower-level leagues have since started to introduce those mandates. Most relevantly, the Pittsburgh Penguins have mandated them for their ECHL and AHL affiliates. Although it cannot be mandated at the pro level right away because of having to go through the NHLPA, the Players Association, first, it has been highly recommended, and some Penguins, notably Erik Karlsson, have started to experiment with them a little bit so far. So, Jake, kind of want to know your thoughts. Do you think that they should be mandated at the pro level Should they just continue with that recommendation? What are your thoughts on that one?
Honestly, I definitely think they should look into it. Obviously, the Adam Johnson passing, that's just tragic. You don't want to see that. That's not only a bad look for hockey, but it's just a horrible thing to happen. I know Richard Zednick back around 15 years ago,
yeah.
he had a similar injury that was also almost fatal. So that's you definitely want to look into it. I'm glad that they're looking into like the lower level leagues and trying to see how it works. You just don't want the neck guard to affect the play. You don't want it to be too stiff on your neck because you're running. If you're running the rink, you can't have your neck stiff. You gotta be aware of everything. So I definitely think they need to look into it, try to find something suitable for the players so that not only are you safe, but it just doesn't affect any sort of pace of play.
Yeah, I'm definitely right with you on that one. And then it was seen in an interview a couple of days ago, TJ Oshie had kind of started to talk about it and tried it and think in practice, a couple practice shifts beforehand. He was saying that it didn't affect his play too much. And his big quote is like he's doing it for his kids, just trying to be around for them. It's crazy to think, that it takes something like this unfortunate accident to cause this kind of concern and raise that concern. But you never really know when something like that can happen.
Oh, absolutely.
It has, like we said, we've seen it before at both levels. Now in England and seeing that unfortunate passing, you definitely need to focus on that player safety regardless of. I've heard a lot of players say that it's just not comfortable to wear and different things like that. Hopefully we can get to a point where we can find something that's a little bit more comfortable and allows that extra set of protection, because that's one of the very few areas that are unprotected when it comes to a hockey player.
Oh, absolutely. And injuries, they cause a lot of these players to have to retire early because they want to be there for the kids. They want to play sports and help their kids, grow as people. They don't want to be injured and be limited in that regard. So, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely something you got to look into.
Yeah, for sure. And then sticking with hockey, going to the Pittsburgh Penguins as well, the start of the season, talking about the play, it has definitely not been what we had hoped thus far, despite the most recent 10-2 victory over the winless San Jose Sharks the other day. We currently sit at 4-6 and last in the Metropolitan Division, and then I just looked, the only player or the only team that's in that lower level that has a positive goal differential, we're +5 in that realm, still sitting in last. What do you think needs to happen? How do you think we got to get back on track to what we were kind of hoping for, even, not maybe first place right away, but definitely to get that higher standard of play that we kind of expected with all the moves that we made in the offseason?
Yeah, it's tough to point it at just one problem, a lot of fans like to blame everything on Tristan Jarry, the goalie. He has been inconsistent this year. A lot of people don't like the decision-making of Mike Sullivan either, the head coach. But I just think it's really just a chemistry issue, and it's an inconsistent level there. We see the Penguins have lost to a few teams they probably should win looking back at it. But coming off a 10-2 win, I know it's against the Sharks, and people are saying, oh, they're the worst team. That doesn't really matter. Beating an NHL team, no matter what, I mean, they're playing against the best of the best. No matter what team you play and beat, that's just an accomplishment of its own. And again, they scored 10 goals. That's insane. But I think it's just a chemistry and an inconsistent issue. For chemistry, it's just all these players brought in. Even if you play together in the offseason, you work really hard, you don't really know where your chemistry is going to be until you actually play against these other teams. So I just think it's a chemistry issue. If, say, the Penguins were 40-20 and they go on a 4-6 skid, no one would really be talking about this, you know what I mean? So I just think as long as they just keep playing together, just build that chemistry back up again, we have a bunch of winners on this team. I don't see a reason why we should give up on this season. I think this is going to be a really good year.
Yeah, it's definitely something Pittsburgh likes to do very often, very quickly, overreact. Every time you see it, it's always calling for goalies' heads. Goalie play has been inconsistent and probably one of the bigger issues we've had over the past couple of years. And obviously, when you see a start like this with all the moves that were made, you definitely, you see a lot of the fans go, it's time to move on from Mike Sullivan and different things like that. But I do agree with you. There are a lot of new pieces, a lot of different combinations that they're trying to work with. So it's going to take a little bit to build up that chemistry. And we are still very early on, only a month into the season thus far. We're known for taking a little bit to get started. So that's also a common thing that, Pens fans are used to. So hopefully we can just kind of ride this out a little bit, get a little bit better, build that chemistry up some more, and then hopefully as we get into the latter parts of the year, we can build up on that chemistry and actually get some points, get some wins, rack them up a little bit, get higher up in the standings, and then kind of work from it from there.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree with you more.
Absolutely. That is all for us. Thank you for joining us. Now back to our hosts.
Thanks so much, guys. Now it's time for our special trivia segment.
Follow along and see how much you know. All right, you want to ask the first question?
I do. All right, so how common is a ADHD diagnosis in the U.S.? Is it A, 4.3 million adults, B, 7.5 million adults, C, 6.2 million adults, or D, 8.7 million adults?
C.
C, which is 6.2?
Yeah. What is it?
It's 8.7 million adults, the highest number.
That's crazy. Yeah.
You know, and it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
I've been reading on some things. They've been, a lot of social media posts or just like different articles have been saying that ADHD has definitely been a thing.
Right.
That most adults are now getting diagnosed with because they're going to a diagnoser.
Right, finally. And it takes a while for people to, you know, get to that point of like going and getting a diagnosis. But honestly, there are so many things to distract you. It makes sense. Like there is just a lot going on all the time. I don't think I know anybody that can really just stay like focused on one thing.
Yeah, especially
naturally.
with like technology and social media bumping up. I'm just glad people are actually going out there and getting diagnosed.
Right. It's a step in the right direction. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. What month are the most cases of seasonal affective disorders, or SAD, reported? A, November, B, December, or C, February?
I say November.
It's February.
February. You know what? That was my second choice.
Was it?
Yeah.
You know, I actually did read a study that like the dead of winter months, like December, January, February, is the worst for like seasonal depression, stuff like that, which makes sense. I mean, it's winter, but
yeah, everyone jokes about it, especially people are just like, seasonal depression.
It's
winter's coming, guys.
Right. But like it's real. Like
Yeah.
that stuff is real. So
And I bet beginning of the year still cold, like
Yeah.
New Year. You know what? Take care of yourself.
right,
You know,
bundle up.
bundle
Drink the hot
up.
chocolate.
Please.
Right.
It does wonders.
Right.
Ready for this third
I'm ready.
question?
Ready.
Ooh, it's a mouthful. A study reported that those who spend a certain daily time on social media had higher risk of depression and anxiety. How much time does the risk take? 4 hours a day, 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day, or 6 hours a day?
3. Oh man, I thought I had that one.
It's as low as 2 hours a day.
Well, that would make sense. I mean, it's a lot at once, so
Yeah.
that's kind of freaky though, because I know I definitely spend a lot more than 2 hours a day on social media.
Everyone and their mom spends 2 hours a day on
yeah,
social media.
yeah, my mom loves TikTok. Like, she is on
She
TikTok
eats
for
a
definitely
TikTok
more
up.
than 2 hours a day.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess please watch your social media intake. Social media has been one of the leading causes. We learned in all our communications classes that social media is definitely one of the problems that
Right.
leads to mental health. So
Yeah. But that was a good
watch
trivia.
what you watch.
That was a good trivia.
That really was.
Yeah.
Killed
There
it.
we go. We hope you enjoyed the trivia and maybe learned a thing or two along the way. Now it's time for this week's Ray of Sunshine.
As you probably know, Ray of Sunshine is Daybreak's way of leaving every episode off on a positive note. This week, along with our theme of mental health, we'll be looking at one of this man's emotional support animals.
But this animal is not just a normal pet. Meet Wally, the emotional support alligator.
I lost 3 family members and 4 lifelong friends in 2 weeks. Depression, it just hit me hard. And I really needed emotional support. And a friend of mine rescues gators. My name is Joe Henney from York, Pennsylvania. And this is Wally, my emotional support alligator. Wally puts a lot of joy in my life. He just makes everything his friend. He is a federally licensed emotional support animal. He has helped thousands of people with emotional support. Wally just makes life so much better. Wally is my best buddy. I take him everywhere. Wally, for some reason, he does not kill anything, never showed any aggression, never tried to bite anybody. We just kind of sit around and watch TV. He's the only one in the world. My family thinks I've lost my mind, but emotional and mental health is very important. Yeah, I love you too.
That's such a sweet video. That's so sweet. I mean, the story, I just feel bad for the poor owner of Wally. That is hard. Like, that I couldn't imagine. But I love the fact that the alligator helped and his friend brought him. Like, his friend rescues him, was like, here's Wally. Yeah. That is so precious.
He loves that.
He loves that gator.
He loves that gator.
That's
He
such a
loves that
unique
gator.
gift from a friend, and the fact his name is Wally. Come on, that's so cute.
I know.
Like Wally the gator.
And it never rang more true. And that like near the end of the video, he was like, he said that his friends and family don't necessarily like approve or they see it as like a fine thing because it's not an emotional support dog. But that he wants to put his emotional and like mental health first, and that's what Wally brings.
That's what's important, right? Yes. And I mean, yeah, you definitely don't expect a gator to be the emotional support, but I want to hug a gator now. Are you kidding me? You always picture gators as like, you know, from the Everglades and the swamp puppies, but that is so sweet. I want to hug a gator now, and it just sits on the couch and watches TV with him. That's what I want, and I'm going to bring that into Lawrence Hall.
Lawrence Hall, get ready. There's going to be an emotional support gator.
That's so cute, and he looks so sweet. The guy said he causes no violence. Oh, my heart.
I'm so glad that he has Wally and that Wally has him.
I know. They're such a good duo. Oh, I wish.
Well, that's it for this episode of Daybreak. We hope that you had fun learning about all the exciting mental health developments happening here in Pittsburgh and right on campus.
As usual, don't forget to subscribe and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at DaybreakPPU. Until next time, I'm Juliana Brock.
And I'm Colleen Winder, hoping your news is great news. See you next time, everyone.